It is forecast, though, to continue to turn away from land. This looks like it will push out into the North Atlantic over the next couple of days. And tropical depression number 7, it has not been named yet, may be named later on today, very close to tropical storm strength, winds at 35 miles per hour. It looks like this storm is going to go to the north, so both storms appears no threat to land at this time. That's the latest. We'll have more next hour, Vince.
All right, thank you very much, Dave. And as we go to break, we want to remind you that Jeannie Mose will be along with her Fashion Follies story.
Can't wait to eat. Think new Uncle Ben's Mini Bowls, like cheeseburger, and pepperoni pizzeria. Mini Bowls. Make hunger say uncle.
Warms my bones.
Hey, big party tonight? You want it to be cool, don't you? Yeah! Do I know you? This is the Jammy sister. Let's go to Pier 1. Guys love to eat off plates like these. Who's having a party? You're having a party. Sexy and sensible.
Hurry in and save 20 to 50% during our dining sale.
Sexy glasses.
The one-of-a-kind experience of Pier 1. Get in touch with your senses.
Okay. That looks good. Beautiful. I love the camera. Work it. High fashion. You're so sassy.
Packed with protein and essential vitamins and minerals, Carnation Instant Breakfast is the perfect morning fuel to power you up for whatever you've got to do today.
You're a jungle cat.
And if you're really lucky, hugs. Achieve new balance. CSFB Direct, ranked as the #1 online broker by Barron's and backed by the resources of Credit Suisse First Boston. That's the difference between online trading and direct investing from CSFB Direct.
In the global energy business, no one covers more ground than the fast cats. Conoco, think big, move fast.
There they are. There they are. There they are.
Excuse me.
Grandma! Hey, Ma. Hello. How you doing?
I'm okay. Just a little busy. Where's Stanley?
How will you make your money last when you retire? Conseco offers a wide variety of retirement products that can help. Conseco, step up.
Burden of Proof, weekdays, 12:30 Eastern on CNN.
Hi, my name is Anika Rabia. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I would like to ask CNN, how does an aspiring model become a model?
The ways in which one can become a model are endless. A girl can be scouted at the mall, walking down the street.
American 11 Heavy, taxi November.
Okay, American 11 Heavy, just hold right there. Move you shortly.
Agency, they can go to a modeling convention. It's just any way that anyone can see you. We at Click look for girls who are a minimum at 5'9" and under 21 to begin. And we can find those girls everywhere. And what we ask them to do is either to send in their Polaroids or send in their snapshots so that we can get a line of their body and their bone structure.
Ask CNN.
American 11 Heavy. You're going to give way to the Donia and the regional jet on the opposite side. Taxi to the Bravo, hold point via Kilo Bravo. Expect runway 4 right for departure.
Okay, to the Bravo, hold point after the regional jet and the Dornier, American 11 Heavy.
Face-to-face.
Online interface.
Personal.
Productive.
Local.
Global.
Very human.
Very modern.
Easy.
Easy.
Sir Speedy.
Either way.
You want to call 911 and do what they tell you as far as the dispatcher and the paramedics do when they arrive.
And also this idea of taking an aspirin, that'll make you feel better immediately.
Well, this message has gotten a little bit garbled. People are now taking aspirins in lieu of calling 911, or they're driving themselves to the drugstore to buy an aspirin to see if the pain doesn't go away. Wrong message. Aspirin should be given by the people who arrive on the scene or over the phone as they tell you what to do. Taking an aspirin will not treat you for a heart attack at home. It's not a home cure for a heart attack.
And as you said at the beginning, a 1-hour window of opportunity, really,
is
what
the
we're
best
talking
time.
about.
Exactly.
All right, Emily, thank you as always.
Okay, Jane.
7:52 now. In our next hour, Ray Romano from Everybody Loves Raymond. We're back after this.
CBS Health Watch, sponsored by Flonase Nasal Spray. Ask your doctor for more information.
You'd try anything to get some relief from your nasal allergy symptoms. But before you change your life, make an easier change. Multi-symptom Flonase relieves all these nasal allergy symptoms: sneezing, itchy, runny nose, and congestion. Flonase once a day relieves them all day and night. For best results, use daily. Side effects are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase. When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
Dogs love home cooking, or new pedigree Little Champions. Gently prepared, then sealed in our revolutionary Flavor Lock pouch. For the home-cooked taste dogs love.
Yeah. What are you doing in there? I'll be right there.
Laundry.
Laundry?
But I'm glad you're up. I've been waiting to vacuum. Breakfast. I'll pick up your tray when I get back from the market.
But it's Sunday. Aren't you going to lay around and watch football all day?
Not if I'm going to finish that roast in time for dinner.
Somebody had their Minute Maid this morning. It only takes a minute, but the feeling lasts all day.
Honey, what's the setting for chiffon?
Riboflavin.
It helps heal those bumps and bruises. And it's in Quaker oatmeal. Because someday, Jan might not think of a bandage as a fashion statement. Just another reason to start their day the Quaker way.
Warms you heart and soul.
Being a dance teacher really takes a toll on your skin.
And American 11 Heavy. I'm going to have to give you Sierra and then Alpha to the Bravo hold point. So just hold short of Sierra for now.
Holly short of Sierra, American 11 Heavy.
So soft.
The Latin Grammys heat up CBS. Wow. Join Christina Aguilera, Jimmy Smits, Lou Diamond Phillips, Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Destiny's Child, Luis Miguel, and Shakira. Wow. They'll be rocking the house. The Latin Grammys. It's the Grammys with a twist.
Are we doing it tonight or what?
Tonight, live only on CBS.
Good morning. I'm Mike Buchanan. In the news at 7:55. School leaders in Fairfax County say they're still awaiting official word on the Standards of Learning accreditation results. They say the unofficial results received last week don't give them enough data to make changes in the schools that are struggling. A Rockville.
Did you want to be alone?
No.
No?
Not at all.
Okay.
The irony is I started doing this to be part of the crowd. And
Yeah,
now...
me too.
Oh, do you...
No, I just quit. Nicoderm CQ.
Aren't the cravings unbearable?
Well, I'm not jumping, if that's what you're thinking. No. CQ is good on the cravings. It's strong medicine. It's with you 24 hours. It works.
Nicoderm CQ. Now in a clear patch, too. For a more personal way to quit.
Quit, huh?
Hey, join the crowd.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
Look at this day we have here in the nation's capital. Absolutely gorgeous out there, 65 degrees if you like it, a little bit on the chilly side. We'll check the forecast and the rush hour coming up shortly. Good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara Harrison. It's Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. In the news, work crews will start installing monitoring equipment today in a northeast Washington neighborhood, looking for signs of gasoline contamination. The gasoline leaked from a service station on the Maryland side of Eastern Avenue near Riggs Road 10 years ago. But now tests are being done to see if the gas has spread over the district line. In a story first on 4, police in Prince George's County are looking for more people who may have been involved in an unusual theft ring. The suspects are accused of stealing hundreds of...
American 11 Heavy, Boston Tower. Good morning. Move right up 2, hold short of 4 right. After departure, maintain 3,000.
Holly short of 4 right, 3,000, American 11 Heavy.
The county is set to consider what could be the first county-wide development tax. The county council is expected to begin the process today. The tax would loosen restrictions on growth around metro stops, but would discourage development elsewhere. This year's plan is said to be...
American 11 Heavy, runway 4 right, taxi into position, hold, traffic departing 9 air.
4 right, position, hold, American 11 Heavy.
This News 4 Today news break is sponsored by Frugal Fannies.
It's not just a shoe, it's art for your feet. Hi, I'm Fanny, and I know how you feel about shoes. How they capture your mood. You've got lots of moods, so you need lots of shoes. At Frugal Fannies, choose from thousands of the latest brand name and designer shoes at 25 to 50% off list. You won't know whether to look at them or wear them.
Frugal Fannies, new shipments this weekend. Falls Church, Rockville, Herndon, and across from Springfield Mall.
Frugality, it starts with your feet.
Tommy, you know what mystery meat is? Well, that's what's in these formed and pressed nuggets.
United 175, Boston Ground, gate 19, push back approved.
Back approved, United 175.
Get an individual size for only $1.99 or a party size for $6.99.
There's fast food, and then there's KFC.
Wednesday, all day, it's Macy's Super One-Day Sale.
American 11 Heavy, traffic's orbiting north of the field at 3,500 feet, maintain 3,000, runway 4 right, cleared for takeoff.
Okay, 3, clear for takeoff on 4 right. What are the winds?
Wind 330 at 9 air.
And we'll have a breezy day with bright sunshine. The afternoon high, the low 80s, comfortably dry today, and a fresh breeze out of the northwest, about 10 to 20. Then tomorrow in the morning, even chillier than this morning, widespread 50s for lows. Highs during the day. Tomorrow, the upper 70s, and maybe a shower passing through here Thursday evening from a weather front. Otherwise, we have dry weather all the way into the weekend. Thursday's high mid-70s. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday ought to be just near 70. Now let's check on the traffic. Jerry, how's it going now?
Hey, Tom, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. It's been quite busy. Let's take a live look and see how we're doing on the trip around town. At this hour, we'll start in Germantown. We're still loaded up and quite slow along the 270 corridor. Had a little police activity earlier. It's gone, but from Father Hurley Boulevard, Route 27 on down in the thick of it. And a quick check on 95, still looking at delays headed north out of Newington to Springfield. Barbara?
Thank you very much. Coming up on News 410, the state of the West Nile virus around our area. There is a concern.
American 11 heavy, contact departure. That traffic's now in your 10 o'clock and 2 miles, 3,400 feet.
American 11 heavy.
Soil.
Nope. Got to keep looking.
Maybe the sun. Or just something in the air.
Nope. Not here.
But things just naturally seem to grow faster in the South.
There you are.
Lotto South, new from the Virginia Lottery. Current jackpot, $2 million.
Whoa, it grows fast.
We're back at 8 o'clock on this Tuesday morning. It's the 11th day of September, 2001. You're looking at the people gathered outside our studio here on a sunny Tuesday morning, and we've obviously had a breach in security. That is Tracy Ullman, the very funny Tracy Ullman, working the crowd a little bit, talking to some of her friends.
It's a wig. I thought it was real. I thought you had the most brilliant haircut. I'm just an idiot. I wish. Yeah, nice color. Very nice.
Tracy's here and there for a good reason, because coming up in this half hour, Katie, you're going to be spending some more time with her?
That's right. Tracy and I are like this these days. We hung out together on Sunday night at a fashion show, and she'll be joining us this morning to tell us about a personal style show that she is hosting and producing. It is called Tracy Ullman's Visible Panty Lines. I don't think we need to say anything more about that. We'll let Tracy do the talking in just a little while.
See that one to believe it. Katie, we're also going to have more of our week-long special series on living longer, living better after the age of 50. This morning we'll focus on the role your mood can play in happy aging. And little.
Good morning, American 11 heavy with you passing through 2,000 for 3,000.
American 11 heavy, Boston departure radar contact. Good morning. Traffic 10 o'clock, 2 miles, maneuvering Cessna Skyline VFR 3,500.
We have inside American 11.
They needed a little time to get the camera from here to the news desk, so work with me here, people.
That's fine. That's fine.
We lost a guest, but hey.
Anyway, that's all coming up. 8:01. Let's get to the top news stories of the morning. For that, we turn to Ann Curry.
Because now we have a camera. Katie Matinelle, thank you so much this morning. Good morning, everybody, again. For the second time in 2 weeks, the U.S. has lost an unmanned spy plane over Iraq. Iraq claims it shot down the remote-controlled Predator aircraft near Basra in the southern no-fly zone. U.S. Military officials, however, say they lost contact with the plane, but they cannot confirm.
American 11 heavy, climb and maintain 8,000.
8,000, American 11 heavy.
The hearing to determine whether Andrea Yates is fit to stand trial. She's the Houston mother charged with drowning her 5 children. The jury will decide whether she is competent to assist her attorneys in a trial. If the case goes to trial, the district attorney says he will seek the death penalty. Some relief for Congressman Gary Condit today. A grand jury in California has tossed out a complaint by Flight Attendant Anne Marie Smith. It claimed Condit obstructed justice by trying to get her to sign an affidavit denying the two had an affair. Well, the grand jury says it doesn't have jurisdiction over the complaint. Smith's attorney plans to refile. Condit denies the affair and says he's never told anyone to lie. Call him the heir apparent. It's looking more and more like Michael Jordan is returning to the NBA. Monday, Jordan told reporters who asked him if he's coming back, quote, "I'm doing it for the love of the game." But later, speaking to the Washington...
American 11 heavy, turn right heading 180.
180, American 11 heavy.
By the middle of next week. Elizabeth Dole is expected to announce later today that she is running for the U.S. Senate. Dole, who ran unsuccessfully for president last year, wants to succeed retiring North Carolina Senator Jesse Helms. Her husband, Bob Dole, is the Senate's former Republican leader. Congress is urging the president to take new steps to jumpstart the economy. Among other things, Republicans want a capital gains tax cut. Well, today the president is visiting his second Florida elementary school in as many days to stress the importance of literacy programs. He's calling on Congress to finish work on his education plan. Today, First Lady Laura Bush testifies before Congress. She is going to be talking to a Senate committee about learning in early childhood. And one member of that committee is former First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now here's Tom Brokaw with a look at what's coming up tonight on NBC Nightly News.
Thanks, Ann. Tonight, 3 numbers that could save your life. 911, 190 million calls each year, but you won't believe the problems we found.
Weather down in Florida, where they'll be picking up as much as 7 inches of rain in parts of central and southern Florida. Partly cloudy skies in the Pacific Northwest. The heat continues in the desert Southwest. 106 in Phoenix. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
65 cool, dry degrees here in Northwest Washington. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. A wonderful change overnight, and a fresh, cool air mass going to be with us here for the next several days. And we will have the afternoon high reach just the low 80s today with comfortably dry weather. The breezes out of the northwest about 10 to 20 miles an hour. Then tonight, a really chilly evening down into the 50s. And we'll see the afternoon high tomorrow just the upper 70s with bright sunshine. Thursday evening, slight chance of a passing shower. Otherwise, we'll have some cool, dry weather all the way into the weekend.
54th anniversary. What's your names?
Richard and Phyllis.
All right, you were here in New York City on your honeymoon.
We got married in '47 in Illinois, but
you came here for your honeymoon. All right, that's what's. Thank you very much, sir. Happy anniversary. Now let's go back inside the key.
All right, Al. Thank you very much. Next up, tips on how to live longer and better, and how your moods can actually affect your health. But first, these messages.
Well, we've been a band for about 4 years now, but we've been a family for over 16 years.
Executive suite making decisions. I mean, it may have seemed tangentially a good idea for him at the time. The NBA, I think, is going to have a problem with this because no matter what they say publicly about how wonderful this is, and their ratings will be huge when he comes back, if he comes back. The fact is, David Stern, the commissioner, and the owner
on his education plan. Today, First Lady Laura Bush testifies before Congress. She is going to be talking to a Senate committee about learning in early childhood. And one member of that committee is former First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton. Now here's Tom Brokaw with a look at what's coming up tonight on NBC Nightly News.
Thanks, Ann. Tonight, 3 numbers that could save your life. 911, 190 million calls each year, but you won't believe the problems we found. Why some wait for hours for help, information you need when seconds count. That and much more ahead tonight. Ann?
All right, Tom, thank you. It is now 8:04, and time for the weather, and Al.
Today's weather is brought to you by Walmart. Always low prices. Always.
Beautiful morning here in the Northeast.
American 11 heavy, turn right heading 220. 20, American 11.
Much of the country, some showers in the northern plains, and wet weather down in Florida, where they'll be picking up as much as 7 inches of rain in parts of central and southern Florida. Partly cloudy skies in the Pacific Northwest. The heat continues in the desert Southwest. 106 in Phoenix. That's what's going on around the country. Here's what's happening in your neck of the woods.
65 cool, dry degrees here in Northwest Washington. Good morning. I'm meteorologist Tom Curine. A wonderful change overnight, and a fresh, cool air mass going to be with us here for the next several days. And we will have the afternoon high reach just the low 80s today with comfortably dry weather. The breezes out of the northwest about 10 to 20 miles an hour. Then tonight, a really chilly evening down into the 50s. And we'll see the afternoon high tomorrow just the upper 70s with bright sunshine. Thursday evening, slight chance of a passing shower. Otherwise, we'll have some cool, dry weather all the way into the weekend.
54th anniversary. What's your names?
Richard and Phyllis.
All right, you were here in New York City on your honeymoon.
We got married in '47 in Illinois, but
you came here for your honeymoon. All right, that's what's. Thank you very much, sir. Happy anniversary. Now let's go back inside the key.
All right, Al. Thank you very much. Next up, tips on how to live longer and better, and how your moods can actually affect your health. But first, these messages.
Well, we've been a band for about 4 years now, but we've been a family for over 16 years.
Executive suite making decisions. I mean, it may have seemed tangentially a good idea for him at the time. The NBA, I think, is going to have a problem with this because no matter what they say publicly about how wonderful this is, and their ratings will be huge when he comes back, if he comes back. The fact is, David Stern, the commissioner, and the owners have known for a long time that the day is going to come when they have to go on without Jordan. And they've done it twice already. And if he comes back, they're going to smile and welcome him, but they're going to realize, you know, they're just delaying the inevitable. There's going to be a day they have to live without Jordan. But it's not the NBA's decision. It's Michael's decision. And so many people for so long have put their own expectations on him. If he does this, I think he's doing it for himself.
Absolutely.
He wants to, you know, in his life, enjoy it.
Ultimately, Michael makes decisions, that's right, for himself in that regard. Bob, you know, you've got your finger on the pulse there in Chicago. It's sad in a way that it isn't happening in Chicago, that this is happening in Washington. And do you think part of this is Michael trying to stick it to general manager Jerry Krause and the Bulls, a Bulls team he probably should still be a part of?
There's certainly that as a part of it, but while the rest, you're right, while the rest of the world, should this happen, is going to say, isn't it amazing to watch Jordan back on a basketball court again? In Chicago, of course, it's going to be, here's Jordan, and the shirt says Washington on it. It's not going to compute real well here, and I think Chicago is going to be sort of watching it through squinted eyes. It's going to be a big international story should it happen, but locally in Chicago, it's going to be a pretty depressing thing to see. I mean, you've got the statue of Jordan in front of the United Center, but he told me once that he never even looks at the statue because he says, I'm not a statue, I'm a person.
Well, all they have is the statue now. Bob Green, thank you very much for your perspective. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks.
Thank you.
He's not a person, he's a legend.
Yeah, I'm telling
that's why this is such a big deal.
He's an icon there in Chicago.
Right.
No
and every
question about it.
40-year-old man is looking at him going, yo, go.
You know what? I could get back in shape, and I think, no.
And we'll be there to cover it.
And walk a flight of stairs.
All right, let's walk over to Kira Phillips, who's taking a look at the news today. Morning, Kira.
Hi, guys. Well, we begin in the Middle East this morning, where Israeli tanks surrounded the West Bank town of Jenin earlier today. Gun battles broke out between local gunmen and Israeli forces, leaving several Palestinians wounded. Israel says it sealed Jenin because it was the staging ground for dozens of attacks by Palestinian militants. Meanwhile, truce talks tentatively set today between Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat and Israeli Foreign Minister Shimon Peres. They have been postponed. In Australia, a federal judge overturned the government's decision to turn away some 400 asylum seekers. The court says the mostly Afghan migrants now on their way to Papua New Guinea aboard a Navy ship must be allowed to land in Australia. Government officials say they will appeal the court's ruling. Jury selection begins today for a Texas hearing that will determine whether Andrea Yates is fit to stand trial. She's the Houston mother, you may remember, that was accused of drowning her 5 children in a bathtub in June. She's charged with 2 counts of capital murder for drowning 3 of them. Elizabeth Dole is expected to throw her hat into the ring today. She's expected to announce she's running for Jesse Helms' Senate seat in North Carolina. The announcement comes in Salisbury, North Carolina, her hometown. Dole once served as Secretary of Transportation and Secretary of Labor. Her husband, Bob, was defeated in the 1996 presidential race. Next, the safety of children's toys. Consumer advocates say they're not safe enough. They say the biggest danger, children choking to death. 16 children under 12 died from toy-related injuries in 1999. 9 of them choked to death. Consumer advocates say manufacturers should do more to guarantee toy safety. The governor of California.
Good morning, American 11 with you, passing through 190-230. American 11 Boston, Center Roger, climb maintain level 280.
7,000-acre fire in Calaveras County is 50% contained now. So far, none of the county's 7,500 residents has been without water, but they've been asked to conserve. Carolyn Vince.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Kira. All right, it's your turn, everybody. We are asking what you think of Michael Jordan's return to the NBA.
Why don't you drop us a line? What are you waiting for? Daybreak@CNN.com. Be sure to include your name, where you're writing from. We'll get to the emails a little bit later in this hour. I'm interested to see what people have to say.
Yeah, make it juicy. In the meantime, you can go to our website and make your voice heard. You can go to CNN.com and cast your vote and check that out.
Wow.
Do you think Michael Jordan should return to play in the NBA? And so far, 66% there saying no.
I'm surprised, just from a curiosity factor. See him, wouldn't you want to see him just take the court one more time?
No, because you can't repeat a first love. You know, I just think that people are afraid he's going to stumble, and every time he goes out there, it's going to be 3 times more embarrassing.
Michael's an elite athlete. I think he knows what he's doing. He wouldn't do this if he didn't have a plan.
And all the ticket sales through the roof. I mean, it's going to be sold out. Still to come, though.
We're going to be looking at this issue of tired of waiting outside in the summer heat or driving rain to see the U.S. Capitol.
Soon you won't have to. CNN has an inside look at the visitor center renovations. And a little bit later, the eye of the storm. Getting out of danger might be the most dangerous thing about a hurricane.
Take us through babycenter.com. What's the big deal on that one?
Well, when I had my first child, you had a big book, and you were constantly pulling it out to see where you were in the development process. This site has fantastic visuals, really, really terrific. And you can actually have an email sent to you on a week-by-week basis in technology terms.
From the site?
Yeah, it's called having something pushed to you. And what's nice is there are a lot of weeks in a pregnancy. So when it arrives in your mailbox, you think, all right, yes, another week. And it will tell you, here's what the baby is going through, here's how you should be feeling, here's some things you need to do to prepare.
And that's a free site?
It is free.
Oh, interesting. Take us through drspock.com.
Yeah, Dr. Spock, a very familiar name.
Benjamin lives on?
Yeah, he's online, a very, very popular site, well organized in that you can find information by age if you've got an infant, a toddler, someone in elementary school, and by topic. So that's a worthwhile one to check out.
All right. Isn't it a little dangerous? I mean, shouldn't you be speaking with your doctor whenever you have a question? I mean, you shouldn't be going online to ask questions, should you?
Well, it's a great point, and it's not a substitute. I've talked to a lot of experts who say the real red flag is when a parent walks into a pediatrician's office and says, I've got it all figured out. Or worse yet, they don't walk in because they think they have it all figured out. So it's important to use it as a supplemental resource.
American 11, your traffic at 2 o'clock, 20 miles southwestbound, MD 80, 310. American 11, Roger.
Moms talking to moms.
Okay. Let's move on. Parenting.com. What's that one give us?
Yeah, parenting.com is a fun one. They have a budget calculator.
United 175, heavy hold short of runway 4 left, monitor tower 128.8. 28.8, hold short of 4 left.
I'd love to get a new crib, I'd love to do this, and then you do the math, and you think, okay, well, let's go back. And they give you an itemized list, because what you need and what you want might be two very different things.
Oh, very good. I like that. Good planner. All right, this one I'm kind of surprised at. Baby Namer, Moms Online?
Yeah, well, this is the fun part. Come on, we used to all buy books and look at the various names. That's all digitized now.
United 175 heavy, taxi in a position, hold 9er. Hold runway 9er, United 175 heavy.
The meaning of your baby's name, and even names you can expect them that maybe they'll be teased. So maybe you want to be careful about what name you pick.
You got a name picked already?
I do.
It is?
Will.
Will. Babystyle.com.
Yeah, shopping. Now, oh yeah, they've got everything and then some. What's nice about this also...
How will she tie them both together?
Oh, Oh, uh, uh,
I don't know. It's in the news and business. Morning, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
I don't know if you would call this food, though. That's the only problem, Carol. Morning, Vince. We're looking at stock market futures gaining some ground here. It looks like there could be a nice pop when market action gets going, a little more than an hour. It's ketchup maker Heinz that we're talking about. H.J. Heinz and high-end retailer Neiman Marcus. We're watching shares of both. Both are out with quarterly results. Heinz posted slightly lower profit from a year ago. Neiman Marcus reported a wider-than-expected loss.
American 11, turn 20 degrees, right?
20 right, American 11.
To meet earnings estimates for the third quarter, and that's helping its shares rally in the pre-market, even though it also warned on sales for the quarter. And Dell is out with some bullish comments. The PC maker says it's well positioned for recovery in the...
American 11, climb maintain level 350.
United 175 heavy, runway 9er, cleared for takeoff. Traffic holding a position on 4 right.
American 11, climb maintain level 350. American 11, Boston. Earth 7, Mike Lima, how do you hear?
Mike Lima has you loud and clear.
American 11, Boston. American 11, the American on the frequency, how do you hear me? This is Adam. This is Boston. I turned American 20 left and I was going to climb him. He will not respond to me now. At all.
Boston, got a 683, flight level 210, climb 230.
Final 683, Boston Center. Roger, climb maintain level 310.
Climb maintain level 310.
American 11, if you hear Boston Center, ident please or acknowledge.
Shell. Countdown shell. We were in the islands, exploring the only volcano in the world you can bike from top to bottom.
United 175 heavy, turn right heading 210. 10. Turn 210, United 175 heavy.
We experienced what it was like to spend a day in the clouds.
Great trips stay with you forever. On Travelocity, we'll show you a calendar of choices for the price you... Because a great fare isn't great.
American 11, if you hear Boston Center, recontact Boston Center on 127.82. That's American 11, 127.82.
So you get the solutions you need when you need them. Like the entire family of HP Network storage products, from single tape drives to automated libraries, with the reliability you expect from HP.
Fred, here is another request that can't be done in time.
HP and CDW, computing solutions built for business.
So if you're a Washington Wizards fan, or heck, if you're an NBA fan, you're probably having a heart attack this morning hearing that Michael Jordan is expected to return to the court.
American 11, American 11, Boston.
Audrey Barnes, who's been hearing...
United 175 heavy, turn right heading 270.
Turn 270, United 175.
Michael Jordan outside his Chicago restaurant last night, and he all but confirmed that he did indeed plan to return to the basketball court wearing a Washington Wizards uniform. He says he'll make an official announcement sometime in the middle of next week. Now, for the last 5 months, Michael has been putting himself to a very physical test. He's been scrimmaging with the likes of Penny Hardaway, Juwan Howard. He says there's a little bit of tendonitis in his right knee, but other than that, he is ready to go.
Boston Warren, United 175 heavy, is out of 8,000. 175 heavy, Boston, approach flighting 270. 70 on the heading, United 175.
Is holding league meetings in Orlando on September 20th, and Michael Jordan is expected to announce his intentions before that. If he should return to basketball, the Wizards say they are prepared for a flurry of last-minute ticket purchases. Also, plans are already in the works to televise as many Wizards games as possible. Reporting live from the MCI Center, Carol, back to you.
Yeah, you can bet on that, Audrey. Thanks so much. Audrey Barnes standing outside the MCI Center, where they're expecting Michael might be playing soon.
Michael could be taking the floor over there, no doubt about that. All right, from a basketball legend now to a real American hero. Millions of people visit the U.S. Capitol each year, some standing in line for hours waiting to get inside. And now a multi-million-dollar visitor center expansion project is underway to make the Capitol more visitor-friendly. Former Senator John Glenn is a spokesman for the project. '" And he's in Washington and joins us now. Good morning, sir. Great to have you.
Good morning. Glad to be with you.
It's interesting to me how you came to be a part of this project. It goes back to your childhood when you were a visitor to our nation's capital. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it does. You know, when I was about 8 years old, I remember our first visit to
American 11, Boston.
That's been many years ago now. And I remember to this day, though, walking into that Capitol and looking up at the rotunda and then visiting each of the two.
American 77, your departure frequency will be 125.05, runway 30, clear for takeoff.
American 77.
Say that led me into the paths of where I went later on, but it certainly gave me an awareness and an appreciation for the Capitol and for our country. And I think the 4 million visitors that come here to the Capitol each year deserve much better than to stay.
175 heavy, contact Boston Center 133.42. 3342, United 175 heavy, good day.
Is what this will eventually look like. You'll have a visitor center in here. They can enter under here. There will be movies and artifacts and things like that that will be available. It'll be three things really: educational, number one, for the kids coming in there, and inspirational. And I don't underrate that. I think that's a very important part of this whole thing. And number three, it provides far better security, so we don't have some of these incidents like we had where some of the policemen got killed here a few years ago.
Right, and there certainly are safety issues involved, and I know that there is not only long lines and long...
American 11, American 11. How do you hear the center?
Well, the safety issues are a very important one because this will give a more controlled flow than just having people milling around out here on the East Plaza that we have here right now. There'll be entryways in here that you can go into the Capitol, into the House or the Senate chamber over here. And also another focal point of the whole world, the Capitol building is a symbol of our democracy. We have many foreign visitors come here from all over the world, and most of them want to visit the Capitol. This is a far more impressive and far better way, I think, of taking care of all the visitors, foreign and our own people here as well.
Senator Glenn, how much money is needed for this project, and where will this money come from?
Well, Congress appropriated $100 million. The whole thing is estimated to cost about $265 million. There've been about 35 pledged from corporations so far. We hope to raise $100 million from the rest of that $100 million from private sources, and that's what this drive is all about. We hope everybody can participate in this. It's everybody should. You know, there's a precedent for this also. I might have preferred myself to see a Congress just appropriate the money and do it. But we have a history. For instance, just a few years ago when they wanted to refurbish the statue on top of the Capitol, that was all done with private funds. So there is some precedent for this.
Senator Glenn, do you feel that Washington, D.C. is the tourist attraction or maybe the tourist mecca that it should be?
Well, no. Well, I think it is probably the biggest single tourist attraction in this country. Every family, you know, we have polls that show that I think it's like 3/4 of the people want to take their family to Washington, want their kids to experience coming to this capital city, this leadership city for the whole world, literally. And so we're, in a way, we're just responding to what the people of this country already want. I'd like to see more visitors to Washington also, not just from a money standpoint of tourists and business, but for the appreciation of what we have here, the Capitol, Arlington, the monuments, Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial, things like that I think are very, very impressive and give people a feel of their part, their participation in this country when they have a chance to come here and visit.
Well, sir, before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your 1998 space mission. And can you tell us what was learned from that mission in terms of...
United 175, that is 19, United 175, Boston, Center, Roger.
From that, what I was up there to see was, you know, when the younger people go up there, they have certain things happen to their bodies. Osteoporosis sets in. The body's immune system changes, become less resistant to disease and infection. Protein replacement in the muscles changes. Now, those are the same things that happen to the elderly to a large extent right here on Earth. So the idea was to compare my reactions to going into space again with the younger people, with the objective of seeing if we can't find out what turns these systems on and off in the human body. And we're making strides in that area too, and the idea being not only to permit longer-term space flight, but also to take away some of the frailties of old age right here on Earth. That's exciting to think that maybe we open the door for some things like that. And so the experiments are going on. I'm hoping they'll put more people up there in my age bracket so we have a database in a few years. It means a lot more than just a database of one, which is me right now.
Athens is Rockdale. A couple things. Point out north and west of Rockdale is Amsterdam 986.
What happened?
Hey, also, are you trying to get through the company on the American or anything?
We're trying everything here.
Is he really got no transponder screwed up or what?
It appears that way.
No kidding. Hi.
I'll tell you, he's a legend.
Looking good.
Looking good.
All right, we're going to take another look at another cool science story. Picture this, a massive hurricane and towns are forced to evacuate.
The problem is there's too much traffic for the roads to handle. Gridlock on the escape route.
And who, maybe it's what, is walking down the runway this spring? We're going to give you a look at the latest fashions when we return.
Ask yourself this. When was the last time you sat completely still?
30 mana 67.0. Is that American 11 trying to call?
Buddy, we have some planes. Just stay quiet and you'll be okay. We're turning to the airport.
15 Southwest of Bono going to Hampton. And who's trying to call me here? American 11, are you trying to call?
Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll injure yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet.
This is a News 4 Today news break.
Beautiful bright sunshine out there this morning as we look at Dulles Airport. 8:25 is the time, 67 degrees. We'll check the forecast and the rush hour coming up. Good morning. I'm Joe Krebs on this Tuesday, September 11th. In the news for today, Michael Jordan may be coming back to play basketball.
Is there any chance we can get direct front this morning?
Not right now. Go ahead, 38.
Yeah, American 11. We suspect there's someone in the cockpit that's taken over. We have just put him in direct Watertown, Jamestown. Last we knew, he was on present heading, cleared to flight level 290. No one is talking to him. Eric has been called. We broadcasted on guard. We tried through company.
Okay.
Thanks.
And 290 is not verified.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
14-year-old Yolanda Beard and 3-year-old Shantae Adams were last seen on Sunday evening around 5 o'clock in the 1200 block of Brentwood Road Northeast. Yolanda is 5 feet 2 inches tall and she weighs 90 pounds. She was wearing a blue shirt and light blue blouse. Shantae Adams is 2 feet tall and she weighs just 30 pounds. She was wearing blue pants and a white blouse. If you have any information about either girl, please call D.C. Police. And the district school budget is $80 million in the red, and that's going to mean some changes in the way the school system operates. School Board President Peggy Cooper-Kafertz blames the shortfall in incompetence, and she says the schools will try to close the deficit without affecting the lives of students. We're going to take a break right now, come back and take a look at our forecast and the rush hour.
This news for because he was just heading that way, yes.
Yeah, we've taken the American back because he appears to have turned.
Yep, thanks. Flagship 5616, Bob.
Oh, sorry.
Do what? 230, flagship 5616.
Over it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I need you to look west of Albany. American 11, I put him on your scope. He is, Northo has been since he talked to Boston High. We assume he's at flight level 290. We're not sure. We think there's someone in the cockpit with him. We broadcasted over guard. We've gone Eric. We have gone company. Nobody is talking to him. We don't know where he's going. We don't know what altitude he's at.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
But I can actually see it happen. That just warms my heart. I feel good about it, you know. If you give parents a choice, that gives kids a chance. It's about the kids.
Well, we had a wonderful change overnight. Good morning, I'm meteorologist Tom Kieran. We swept out the high humidity, and in comes some fresh, cool, dry air. 67 here at NBC4 and at National Airport with a fresh breeze out of the west-northwest. And it'll be gusting today 10 to 20 miles an hour with bright sunshine, highs reaching the low 80s. Tomorrow, bright and sunny after a chilly start in the 50s, should reach the upper 70s. And then Thursday evening, there's a slight chance of a passing shower. Otherwise, we've got dry weather into the weekend with Friday, Saturday, and Sunday's highs just near 70. Now let's check on that traffic. Jerry Edwards, how's it going this morning?
Tom, it has been a little rocky. Good morning, everyone. Let's head south and show you the outer loop of the Beltway, just crawling from Eisenhower Avenue passing Telegraph Road. An accident there has just been moved to the shoulder, but a very painful trip indeed. It looks like it's improving a little bit, picking up a little bit of speed now on 270 out of Germantown. Back to you.
Thanks, Jerry. Coming up on News 410, the state of the West Nile virus around our area and the nation. And there's new concern this morning. Another local news update in 25 minutes. Stay with us.
Most people don't mean to be hurtful, but when you're really overweight, you hear all the comments. So you learn to build a wall around yourself to block out what you don't want to hear. Then I overheard someone talking about Jenny Craig, and I'm glad I listened.
There's never been a better time to join Jenny Craig with their personalized one-on-one counseling. And now, for a limited time, lose 20 pounds for $20 plus the cost of food. Call 1-800-JENNY20.
I was at a party recently, and I overheard this woman say she looks absolutely beautiful. And you know what? She was talking about me.
Today, cable companies like AT&T control over 70% of high-speed internet connections because they compete under different rules than phone companies. Unless Congress acts, millions will be left behind or with only one choice, their cable company. Now a study says a delay in high-speed internet rollout could cost our economy $500 billion. Toz Dingle guarantees access to inner cities and small towns and would add billions to our economy.
Cleveland. Hi, Cleveland, New York, Boston. I got a little situation with American 11, American 11. He is a 767 departed Boston going to LAX. We don't know where the aircraft is going. He is supposedly going to LAX. Was going westbound. We lost his frequency. Then we lost his transponder, and now the aircraft is just west of Albany, heading due south. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Do we have the data block on him? Who's got the... Yeah, it's a primary target presently, and it's just heading southwestbound. Okay. Understand. I'll go to right now. I'll advise the area. The last altitude observed was flight level 290. 29. Southbound? Heading southwestbound. He's like towards Hancock, right around there. He's southwest of Albany by 15 miles. You have no idea where he's going? No idea, sir. All right. You can tag him on the TST. I do take him up. Primary only? Primary only. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Years, it's finally come to fruition. It's an anthology of black music, and it's called The Long Road to Freedom.
Also, we're going to talk about Howard Hughes, the reclusive billionaire, died alone except for the people he paid to be with him. There have been a lot of books written about him, but now author Richard Hack has written what he calls the definitive...
Boston going United 175, out of 280 for 310.
United 175, Boston Center, Roger, good morning.
Anyways, absolutely.
Anyway, lots to get to, but before we do, we've got another check of the weather from Mr. Roker. Al, it is such a pretty morning, isn't it?
Perfect fall morning, although it's not fall yet, so it's still a perfect summer morning. And good advice, hug a nurse today. Where are you from?
Youngstown, Ohio.
Youngstown, what are you doing here?
Elizabeth.
Just hanging out?
Just on vacation.
Who are you here with?
My son and my husband.
All right. Well, you're sandwiched. It's a mom-nurse sandwich. We like that. And I got a buddy over here who's going, Al, show me some love. I love the hair. I love the hair. I'm showing you some.
SOC, Ray Howland.
Ray Holland, Nancy Wyatt, Boston Flight Service.
Yes.
Okay, we've got the flight attendants on the line here.
You do have them on the line?
On the plane, yeah.
Can you conference them in with us?
I have no idea how to do that. If you can help me out. He's getting some information here. I'm going to read his notes for you. It looks like he's Middle Eastern. He speaks no English. He was in 10B, 10 Baker,
right.
9 D&G. Speaks no English. The plane's in a rapid descent.
Is the cockpit still?
Yes. Okay, the flight attendants are concerned they don't know what's going on in the cockpit. Are you in contact with them?
No, we're not. We're trying to get in contact with the cockpit.
Okay. No, you'll feel like you're depressed. Okay.
We don't really want to tell her that.
Okay, don't. Okay, got it. Okay, we're not sure. Okay, it looks like there is severe bleeding that he's keeping her on the line. There's severe bleeding. There's a slashed throat. Michael, is that slashed throat a flight attendant? No.
It's a prize. 7 Democrats and 2 Republicans are fighting for those nominations. And in Cincinnati, 2 men who once shared a local TV news anchor desk, current Mayor Charlie Luken and Curtis Fuller, are the front-runners in the city's first nonpartisan primary for mayor. This reverses the career switch of Jerry Springer, who was the first Cincinnati mayor and then became a TV star. Hey, we got options.
Nobody move, please. Going back to the airport. Don't try to make any stupid moves.
Closet, couldn't we?
Not right now.
All right.
Thank you,
See
Kara.
you later.
All right, this week is traditionally the peak of hurricane season. We're doing a series of reports we call the Eye of the Storm. Today, evacuation gridlock. We'll start with CNN's John Zarella, who's in the Florida Keys live this morning. John is with us. Good morning, John.
Morning, Vince. Let me tell you, emergency managers and hurricane forecasters will always tell you you can run from the water and you can hide from the wind. That means you've got to get out of the way for storm surge, but you can usually hide from the wind. But let me show you the Florida Keys here. This is Isla Mirada. That's the only way out of the Florida Keys. That one road, it's a 2-lane road. So here in the Florida Keys, you've got to run from the water and run from the wind, both. You really don't have a whole lot of options. But no matter where you live, if you are ordered to evacuate, it may be far more difficult than you think.
As Hurricane Floyd moved north along the Atlantic coast.
Okay, Drake on. Yeah, hi. Are you able to talk to Otis on this line? I'm not sure, but if you need to get in touch with him, I can. I think they're on the 7 line. I have a situation with the American 11. What? I have a situation with American 11. You want to talk to Otis Towers? I want to talk to Otis Street. I need to scramble some fighters. All right, well, hold on a second. Let me get you the soup.
Breaking land. But next time might be different.
I really fear that someday we're going to have people stuck in their cars in a gridlock as the core of a major hurricane moves on shore. If they're stuck in their car and that storm surge comes in, they'll be lost alive from drowning.
Hundreds, perhaps thousands may feel fear.
Kennedy, Kingston 93.
Kennedy.
Here's a heads up for you here. I got an American 11 He's right over Kingston right now. We think he's at flight level 290. There appears to be some possible problem with him. He departed Boston going to Los Angeles, but somewhere along the way here he took a left turn, and he's not talking to anyone, hasn't talked to anybody in about 75, maybe 100 miles. So he's southeastbound right now, so he's going to pass just like over Carmel. And again, we don't have a verified altitude. We think he's at flight level 290. We're trying to verify that now.
You have a code on him?
No, he's just flying X-ray. There's no code on the guy. He's flying X-ray, and we had approved that. So he's a primary right now. Right over Kingston right now, flight level 290, supposedly.
Supposedly 290, and he's headed southeastbound?
Headed southeastbound right now. Like he's going to go between, looks like maybe right over Dewey's intersection. So I'm just giving you a heads up. We're not talking to him. No one's talked to him about the last 20 minutes.
Now, what's the call sign?
American 11.
American 11.
Yeah, I'll call you when he gets close to your boundary, okay?
Okay.
Fuel on US 1.
The next day, the road's cleared. Wagner orders a Phase 1 evacuation, tourists and non-residents. Then Hurricane Debbie unexpectedly falls apart.
As Carla moves slowly in from the Gulf.
A generation ago, evacuation worked pretty well.
Back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, if we gave people 12 hours of warning, that was sufficient.
Okay, United 175, you have him at your 12 o'clock now in 10 miles.
Affirmative. We have him. He looks about 20, about 29, 28,000.
Okay, thank you.
That's not a solution.
What I'm saying is every new community that goes up, whenever you give the permitting process for this development, they ought to be required to have a shelter right on site.
So for now, evacuation grid.
Rogers Weapons, Sergeant Powell. Hi, Boston Center, Team U. We have a problem here. We have a hijacked aircraft headed towards New York, and we need you guys to, we need someone to scramble some F-16s or something up there to help us out.
Is this real world or exercise?
No, this is not an exercise, not a test.
Okay, hey, hold on 1 second, okay?
Yep.
Hey, seriously, be kind.
Last minute and risk getting stuck in gridlock. This is John Zarella reporting live from Isla Mirada in the Florida Keys.
All right, thank you very much, John Zarella. Wow, great pictures there to illustrate the power of the storm. We remind you, tune in Sunday for a special hurricane report when the big one hits. Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time on CNN Presents.
All right, but surely Dave Hannon's looking out on the horizon, seeing if there's any hurricane action out there. What's it looking like, Dave?
There is indeed hurricane action today. Fortunately, though, this big hurricane, Erin, is going to move away from the U.S. Winds at one point yesterday up to 120 miles per hour. You see the eye of Hurricane Erin, and look how close it is to the coast. The thing that's going to happen, though, is this frontal system moving off the east coast is going to pick up the hurricane and begin to move it a little bit farther off towards the east. In fact, it is now moving north. It was moving northwest yesterday, so that turn has already begun. Winds still pretty strong, though, 90 miles per hour sustained. It is forecast to continue, though, as we said, though, to push away from land. In fact, not expected to affect the Canadian Maritimes either, moving into the North Atlantic. That's what we're expecting with that storm. We are watching another storm, too. This is Tropical Depression number 7, which is located way out in the Atlantic. Same story here. This storm is forecast to go north through the island. So either storm.
Boston Center here. Can I get New York Tracon?
You bet. So nothing with the cockpit?
Yes, with American 11.
Say it again?
Oh, a reference to American 11.
Right, have you had any contact with him yet?
No contact. It is confirmed hijack, though.
Tracon?
Okay. Hey, Tracon, hi, Boston Center. Good morning. American 11. 767, possible hijack.
Okay, American 11, 75, and Destin. Where's he landing?
Right now, we don't have any idea, but he was to the northwest of Albany, and now he's down by Sparta, losing speed very rapidly. We believe he's a primary only, and we believe he's on the descent. That's why he's slowing down.
Where will you find the money to pay for long-term care? Conseco Long-Term Care Insurance protects you so you don't lose your nest egg. Conseco, step up.
Yippee! Yes!
We are in the sweet spot now, baby.
Give me incredible. 5. There is no stopping us now.
This
the sky
market
is the limit.
Incredible.
NASDAQ. They expect the NASDAQ to surge above 6,000.
Rather than feel nostalgic for days gone by,
A Merrill Lynch financial advisor can help reallocate your portfolio to better navigate today's up and down market. While we can't bring back the past,
NASDAQ 10,000.
we can make something to look forward to.
We can expect, Amy.
United 93, wind 3307, runway 4 left, clear for takeoff. Clear takeoff 4 left, United 93.
Nortel Networks is building the new high-performance internet, the wireless internet, with optical...
New York, United 175, heavy.
United 175, go ahead.
We figured we wait to go to your center. We heard a suspicious transmission on our departure out of Boston with someone keyed the mic and said, everyone stay in your seats.
Oh, okay. I'll pass that along over here. Hey, Kingston on 93 line. Go ahead. Hey, United 175 just came on my frequency, and he said that they heard a suspicious transmission when they were leaving Boston. Oh, yeah? Everybody stay in their seat. That's what they heard as a suspicious transmission. Now, that U.S. Air 583 thought the American exit 29.
Leather, lace, and everything in between. It is all moving down the catwalk at Fashion Week in New York. And CNN's Gail O'Neill has been braving the crowds to see what some of us, at least, are going to be wearing, maybe the most pregnant of us. Morning, Gail.
Morning, Carol. I'll tell you, this is the biggest media crush I've seen so far, and it's all over maternity wear. I'm backstage at the Liz Lang maternity show, and it's rock and roll back here. We have media from all over
American Airlines emergency line, please state your emergency.
Hey, this is Nitty at American Airlines calling. I am monitoring a call in which Flight 11, the flight attendant is advising our reps that the pilot, everyone's been stabbed.
Flight 11?
Yep. They can't get into the cockpit is what I'm hearing.
Okay, who's this I'm talking to?
Excuse me, this is Nitty at American Airlines at the Raleigh Reservation Center. I'm the operations specialist on duty.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Nydia.
Nydia. And what's your last name?
Gonzalez, Gonzalez.
Raleigh Reservations. Okay, now when
I've
you...
got the flight attendant on the line with one of our agents.
Okay. And she's calling how?
Through reservation. I can go in on the line and ask the flight attendant questions.
Okay. I'm assuming they've declared an emergency. Let me get ATC on here. Stand by.
Gotten any contact with anybody? Okay, I'm still on with security, okay, Betty? You're doing a great job. Just stay calm, okay? We are, absolutely.
Okay, we're contacting the flight crew now. We're also contacting ATC.
Okay.
Anything else from this flight attendant?
So far what I've got, the number 5 flight attendant's been stabbed, but she seems to be breathing. The number 1 seems to be stabbed pretty badly, and she's lying down on the floor. They don't know whether she's conscious or not. The other flight attendants are in the back, and that's as far as I know. It seems like the passengers in this coach might not be aware of what's going on right now.
These 2 passengers were from first class?
Okay, hold on. Hey, Betty, do you know any information as far as the gentlemen that are in the cockpit with the pilot? Were they from first class? They were sitting in 2A and B.
Okay.
They are in the cockpit with the pilots.
Who's helping them? Is there a doctor on board?
Is there a doctor on board, Betty, that's assisting you guys? You don't have any doctors on board, okay. So you've gotten all the first class passengers out of first class?
Have they taken everyone out of first class?
Yeah, she's just saying that they have. They're in coach. What's going on, honey? Okay, the aircraft is erratic again. Bobbing very erratically. She did say that all the first-class passengers have been moved back to coach. So first class, the cabin is empty. What's going on your end, Craig?
We contacted air traffic control. They are going to handle this as a confirmed hijacking, so they're moving all the traffic out of this aircraft's way.
Okay.
He turned his transponder off, so we don't have a definitive altitude for him. We're just going by, they seem to think that they have him on a primary radar. They seem to think that he is descending.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Lydia?
Yes, dear, I'm here.
Okay. I have the dispatcher currently taking the current fuel on board, and we're going to run some profiles to see exactly what his endurance is.
Okay. She doesn't have an idea who the other passenger might be in first. Apparently they might have spread something, so they have a hard time breathing or getting in that area. What's going on, Betty?
Battalion 1 to Manhattan. Battalion 1. We just had a plane crash into Alpha 4 of the World Trade Center, transmit a second alarm, and start relocating companies into the area.
Okay, so we'll stay open. I think we might have lost her.
When it comes to lending and leasing to businesses and consumers, CIT stands apart. Because when you combine nearly a century of experience with dedication, desire, and imagination,
The World Trade Center, tower number 1 is on fire. The whole outside of the building was just a huge explosion.
wonder that today's business leaders put their trust in today's financing leader, CIT.
With posted pop-up notes and the handy dispenser, you always know where your notes are.
Anybody copy? I'm sorry. Say that again, please. I said looks like we lost the primary target about 20 west of Kennedy, and we had a report of an EOT in the area. We're going to, I guess we'll get some Coast Guard activity up there. Well, we lost the track, too.
Hey, Boston, this is New York. What type of aircraft was the American?
167. This is the ACI watch. Say again, if you lost track of the aircraft, over? Boston has lost track, and on our frequency we have confirmed that it was a hijack. That's on the tapes. Yeah, New York confirms we've lost the track as well, and we got a report of an ELT in the area that the track was in. Kennedy Tower reports. Are you serious? Kennedy Tower reports that there was a fire at the World Trade Center, and that's the area where we lost the airplane.
Would you like to lower your monthly mortgage?
Engine 1 on Manhattan. Engine 1 on, go. Roll every available ambulance you got to this position.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center. The CNN Center right now is just beginning to work on this story, obviously calling our sources and trying to figure out exactly what happened, but clearly something relatively devastating happening this morning there on the south end of the island of Manhattan. That is, once again, a picture of one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
We could see these pictures. It's obviously something devastating has happened. And again, unconfirmed report that a plane has crashed into one of the towers there. We are efforting more information on this subject as it becomes available to you.
Right now, we've got Sean Murtaugh. He is a CNN producer on the telephone right now. Sean, what can you tell us about what you know?
This is Sean Murtaugh. I just was standing on the Vice President of Finance.
Sean,
Vice President of Finance for CNN.
Sean, we're on the air right now. What can you tell us about this situation?
Hello?
Yes, Sean, you're on the air right now. Go ahead. What can you tell us?
I just witnessed a plane that appeared to be...
Division 110-4, that's confirmed. We have fire on several floors, the upper floors of the World Trade Center.
I don't know which tower it is, but it hit directly in the middle of one of the World Trade Center towers.
Sean, what kind of plane? Was it a small plane?
We want to tell you what we know as we know it. We just got a report in that there's been some sort of explosion at the World Trade Center in New York City.
Anybody know what that smoke is in Lower Manhattan?
I'm sorry, say again?
A lot of smoke in Lower Manhattan.
The live pictures here. We have no further details than that. We don't know anything about what they have concluded happened there this morning, but we're going to find out and, of course, make sure that everybody knows on the air.
These are, of course, the two twin Trade Center buildings that are down at the foot of Manhattan, that they really are the beacons of New York. It was there that there was the explosion a couple of years ago brought about by terrorists. That's all gone through the courts, but this we don't know anything about. We don't know about anything that has happened here other than the fact that there's obviously been a major incident there, and we're going to go to a special report now from ABC News.
This. United 175, do you read New York? Delta 1489, do you read New York?
Delta 1489, go ahead.
Okay, just wanted to make sure you read New York. United 175, do you read New York?
It's 8:52 here in New York. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We understand that there has been a plane crash on the southern tip of Manhattan. You're looking at the World Trade Center. We understand that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft. We don't know if it was a private aircraft. We have no idea how many were on board or what the extent of the injuries are right now. We have, I understand, an eyewitness on the phone right now. Sir, good morning. This is Bryant Gumbel. Could you give us your name?
Yeah, my name is Stuart.
Stuart, where are you right now?
I'm working at a restaurant in Soho.
All right, so tell us what you saw, if you would.
I was waiting at a table and I literally saw it seemed to be like a small plane. I just heard a couple noises. It looked like it bounced off the building, and then I just saw a huge ball of fire on top, and then the smoke seemed to simmer down, and it just a lot of smoke was coming out, and that's pretty much the extent of what I saw.
A private aircraft?
As Matt just mentioned, we have a breaking news story to tell you about. Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City. It happened just a few moments ago, apparently. We have very little information available at this point in time. But on the phone, we do have Jennifer Oberstein, who apparently witnessed this event. Jennifer, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, can you please tell me what you saw and to give me any information about what's going on there?
Yes, I have to tell you, it's quite terrifying. I'm in shock right now. I came out of the subway at Bowling Green. I was heading to work in Battery Park at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, and I come out, and I heard a boom, looked up, and there was a big ball of fire. I'm now looking north at the World Trade Center, and it is the left twin tower if I'm looking north. I'm in Battery Park right now, and you can hear the fire engine.
Delta 2315. Delta 2315, turn left immediately to a heading of 200.
Left turn immediately, 200, Delta 2315.
Roger. Traffic, 1 o'clock, 10 miles, turning into your face, descending out of 31. It's a hijacked aircraft. We don't know what he's doing.
Fire like this in the air, and the pieces of the building were flying down. It looks like it's like
massive gaping hole with tons of black smoke falling out of the building.
Owen, we have a satellite picture right now.
There.
That is it.
A live picture. As you can see, this is different. This is a different perspective than we saw earlier. The plane obviously went in on one side and came out the other. There's debris all over the ground
broke
down
through
below.
On part.
Exactly. And as you can see, it affects perhaps 10 floors. Yes. of the World Trade Center building. It is over 100 stories tall. It is the tallest structure in New York City. It is near the flight path for Newark.
Right. And many times, whenever people for Newark, Kennedy.
Delta 2315, the traffic is now at your, well, if you're heading on the 200 heading, he's about your 2 o'clock and about 7, looks like 30.6 descending.
We have him in sight, sir.
Delta 2315, roger.
Yeah, he's in sight.
Okay, you can maneuver as necessary to avoid that aircraft, sir. I do not know what he's doing. From this angle, it seems like more than 3 floors, and perhaps what's most disturbing, Edie, I think, is the time of day. This time of morning is when people pour into that building, and it's usually next to full.
Well, you got to also remember, this is near the financial district on the tip of Manhattan. There are so many people at this hour who are in that neighborhood. And aside from the people who are in the building, remember, this is a huge structure, 10.5 million square feet the World Trade Centers take up. And as you can see, for perspective, there goes a helicopter right by it. And it obviously impacted one side and wound up affecting perhaps the other side. We do know there is debris all over the floor, down the pavement down below, and crews are, they've got all the police and the fire department and the emergency technicians are headed to that area. This is horrible.
And also, when you think about what happened to the World Trade Center before, with the bombing there and the chaos that surrounded it, this is a much different challenge, just as grave.
And also, from one of our perspectives, we can see that not only are there gaping holes, but debris continues to fall down below at this hour.
We see, actually, we see 2 faces. I know you can't see the picture that our audience is seeing, but we see 2 faces of that tower. One seems to have a rather gaping large hole in it. The other face seems to have 2 holes in it. It's all somewhat obscured by smoke, one large, one somewhat smaller.
Right.
And, of course, we know there are a variety of offices there. There are financial offices there. There are advertising offices, all kinds. We can only hope that since it is still a little bit early in New York, that maybe on some of those floors, some of the offices were still not open for business.
You can now see there on that one side, well, you can see flames now coming actually out of 2 sides of the building.
You guys have jumpers, baby, jumpers. All right, Division 1, be advised, Battalion 2 advised you have jumpers from the World Trade Center, okay?
On both sides of the tower.
As we've heard before, we said earlier that there was at least one speculative report that an airplane had crashed in, whether deliberately or accidentally, we don't know. And there are continuing reports from people who say that they saw an airplane, one woman saying that she saw a jet going in. So, again, Don, a jet screaming that low could be consistent with what you heard?
Absolutely. It could be consistent with what I heard. What I know I did not hear was an airplane, any kind of a prop plane. And I think looking at the damage, I don't think there's any way possible that it would have been a prop plane. It's just too much damage to the building. What's deceptive about the World Trade Center is that it is so huge and so tall.
Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things will go well, it's not looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you. And I'll see you later. Hi, Dave. I'll call you.
I would have to speculate that it would have to be a larger than normal jet. I mean, larger than like a Citation or something like that. It's just such a gigantic hole, and it blew out the other side. And again, these buildings are almost a city block size building. So for it to have blown in this hole on the north side as well as the west side, it had to be a gigantic explosion.
Well, obviously, we don't know if this was if it was a plane, and I underline if it was. We don't know if it would have been deliberate or accidental. We know so little now, other than what we can see from these pictures. But the interesting point is there are a number of small airports around New York where passenger corporate jets or private jets will land and take off. And it's not uncommon, if you have ever visited the World Trade Center.
Hey, Joe, you see 3321 code just southwest of Newark by about 15, 18, 20 miles, 15,000 descending.
Looking, hold on, southwest Newark by about 15, 20.
They were tracking him, made a hard left turn. He's descending pretty rapidly, and especially what just happened in there.
I got somebody who keeps coasting, but it looks like he's going into one of the small endpoints down there.
Wait a second. No, this guy's a big boy.
Some winds in some directions, even out of the big commercial airports. Planes are routed quite close to New York. I've flown in from LaGuardia, even into LaGuardia, but having to go right by the World Trade Centers.
But we emphasize this is all speculative at this point. And just to reset for all of you, this is a special report from ABC News, and we are dealing, and we have to underline this, we are dealing purely in the realm of speculation here as to what may have happened at the World Trade Center. Obviously, a major...
Check with your arms. Do you know if anyone down there has done any coordination to scramble fighter-type airplanes?
There's two big airplanes in there?
No, we have several situations going on here. It's escalating big time. We need to get the military involved with this.
Wow, what's going on?
Just get me somebody who has the authority to get military in the air now.
All right. I'll go tell them.
So that's one more witness weighing in, or at least one more source weighing in on the fact that it was an aircraft of some kind.
And as Don Daly reported, this occurred about 15 or 20 minutes ago in downtown New York, and New York time.
Followed by an enormous crash and an immediate explosion. I don't think we could feel shockwaves, but we sort of felt like we did. And we were in a position where we could see the Trade Center almost immediately between the other buildings. And an enormous fireball that must have been 300 feet across was visible immediately. A secondary explosion, I think, and then plumes of smoke. There must have been a 3-block cloud of white smoke. Now, from where I was on the street a moment ago, you can, in fact, see smoke leaving the building on 3 sides. It seems to be coming out on at least 4 or 5 floors. The air is filled with hundreds of thousands of pieces of paper that are just sort of floating like confetti. The area is swarming.
Hey, can you look out your window right now? Yeah. Can you see a guy at about 4,000 feet, about 5 east of the airport right now? Looks like he's...
Yeah, I see him.
You see a guy, look, is he descending for the building also?
He's descending really quick, too, yeah.
Well, that's
2,500 feet now. He just dropped 800 feet in like one sweep.
That's another situation.
You say that emergency vehicles are there, understandably so, but of course the major concern is human loss. I mean, do you know if there were many people in the building?
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building.
You have a second plane into the other tower?
Another one just hit the building.
Wow.
Wow.
Another one hit it hard. Another one just hit the World Trade.
We just saw a plane circling the building a second ago on the shot right before that.
I think there may have been another impact. Can you tell? I just heard another very loud bang, and a very large plane that might have been a DC-9 or a 747 just flew past my window. And
the second one just hit the Trade Center.
Okay. Yeah, we got to alert the military real quick on this.
It has now impacted the building. I'm trying to see if it's the different tower.
I think it may have been. I believe the first one was World Trade Center 1, and it looks, from what I'm seeing on the television, like it may have been the second building.
This is a piece of tape, and we may actually see another plane enter the picture here in a second.
I wonder if there are air traffic control problems.
Tommy, we're going to stop everybody. We're going to shut Boston down. I suggest the same elsewhere.
This happened, Jennifer?
Matt, I've never seen any. It looks like a movie. I saw a large plane, like a jet, going immediately headed directly into the World Trade Center. It just flew into it, into the other tower, coming from south to north. I watched the plane fly into the World Trade Center. It was a jet. It was a very large plane. It was going fast. It went past the Ritz-Carlton Hotel that's being built in Battery Park. It flew right past it, almost hit it, and then went in.
This is so shocking, of course, to everybody watching.
I've never seen anything like it. It literally flew itself into World Trade Center.
Obviously now we move from what appears to... There it is right there.
Again, I'm looking from south to north, and it went into the one on the right.
That appeared to be at least a 727. We saw it a second ago. Here comes the videotape that we just showed you. You will see what appears to be a large plane. It could be a 727 right there.
Maybe. It looks like the World Trade Center is on fire. Yes, it's a Boeing 757. We think just flew into the building.
You're not kidding, right?
No, I'm not kidding. Oh, sure. Yes.
What's happened here? We're going to immediately check with air traffic control in the area to find out if they had contact with either of these planes before the accident. But what we've just seen is about the most shocking videotape I've ever seen.
What are the odds of two separate planes hitting both towers?
Elliot, are you still there?
Hello?
Elliot?
Yes, I'm still here, Katie.
So, Elliot, what can you see right now from your perspective?
I don't face in that direction. I can't see anything personally.
It is completely impossible to understand why this is happening and to figure out what in the world is going on.
I think we have to be grateful
Ali
that the first
Eberhard
plane hit before 9 a.m., but it's now after 9 a.m., and I just wonder how many people were in those offices.
Well, hopefully that they were evacuated following the first incident, and we can only hope that there was a very short period of time from when we first learned about this was probably about 8:50 Eastern time. This second incident occurred about 9:05. And so obviously that would be a short amount of time to get people out of the building. Ali Eberhard is another witness who is on the ground. Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Please tell me what you're seeing.
Well, I live in Lower Manhattan. I face the north tower, the north side where the first plane crashed into the building. And right now, there's a lot of chaos on the ground, a lot of emergency vehicles. Everyone from the World Financial Center has exited and is walking north up to Battery Park North. There's just mass and mass of people walking north uptown of Manhattan. I was happened to look on the first tower, and I actually saw people waving where the first plane crashed through, and then it was unbelievable seeing this second jet come crashing into the second tower. What is going on?
And unfortunately, here in New York, many of our stations cannot see this, local stations, because the antennas are on the World Trade Center. They're backup towers on the Empire State Building, but communication, television communication in New York City is probably...
And that was the first plane?
Jet.
Did you see... We're Mr. Davis, we're looking at a tape replay of the second plane boring into the building. Hard for us to tell exactly how large an aircraft it is there or whether or not that was intentional. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Believe me, it was intentional. We saw the second one come up to Hudson and veer into the second building.
Why do you say the second was intentional?
Because it was flown very deliberately. There appeared to be nothing wrong with the aircraft. It was flown very deliberately into the building.
Have they, you don't, obviously you're at 50th, you don't have any vantage point down there. What's everybody else talking about there who has the same vantage point? They see all the same thing you did?
Yes. Well, others did not see the first one, but there were several people in my office when the second one came in.
Yeah, we're looking at the second one boring in right now, and it does not seem to be wavering in any way or seem to be banking to avoid the tower in any way.
Okay, this is, who's up there? Langley. Okay, you're listening? What I told the FD so far, we need to get those fighters straight over Manhattan because we don't know how many guys are out of bomb. Could be 3-2, could be more. I don't know, just in case. Not down in Whiskey 105 where they want FAA wants to hold. We need to be more tactically sound with this.
Yes, it is.
And stick them,
Everybody, I think, immediately assumed that a bomb had exploded, and that sort of had people thinking that further bombs may explode. There was sort of a rush away.
Did you see, George, the second plane, that jet, fly into the other Twin Tower?
I heard two explosions, however. There was a first explosion that was louder, and then a second explosion, and but I could not see that, and I looked up, and when I looked up, I saw debris falling.
L2431, we have a message for you to heighten your cockpit security due to some activity this morning.
Okay, and that is from company?
Negative. It's a general advisory to all aircraft. This morning, an aircraft hit the World Trade Center has been hijacked, and we're receiving reports that there may have been a second one.
Okay, thank you very much. Was it a domestic carrier that was hijacked?
It was an American Airlines aircraft.
Okay, thank you.
That we're in an area here where there are 3 major airports. You have Newark Airport, Kennedy Airport, and LaGuardia Airport, all within several miles of the World Trade Center. You know, it's very unusual for a plane to get into this area without being completely tracked or identified by air traffic control. So you would have to imagine that, A, if this plane were headed right for the World Trade Center, there must have been someone trying to talk or communicate with that pilot, and for it to fly right into the side of the building.
Well, the smaller plane you can understand almost, but a jumbo jet, a large jet, completely...
Let's re-rack that video, if we could, down in the control room where we actually saw the jet flying into the building,
and
which
I was mistaken.
Unbelievable.
When Elliot Walker said it was a big plane, I was looking in the distance and saw a small plane, which might have been a helicopter, actually. To see this plane come into the picture,
there it is.
That is a big plane. And, I mean, it's hard to imagine.
Inform every unit coming to the scene responding on West Street or Liberty Street not to pull up in front of the building. We have ambulances and everybody else pulling up, and we got debris falling from the building. They have to stop short of the building, either north or south.
The World Trade Center.
I'm wondering if Jennifer Oberstein is still on the phone. Do we still have Jennifer on the phone? She's actually not on the phone because she was near a police officer. At least we could have perhaps gotten more information from that officer. Needless to say, it's pandemonium, I am sure, down there, and we gathered that from even the eyewitnesses with whom we spoke, and how terrifying this was for them to see. And you can only imagine, as you get closer to the Twin Towers, a New York landmark, what the scene must be like there.
You know, you talked about the buildings looking like they're buckled. They're designed to have a 2-degree sway in either direction.
American Dispatch, Jim McDonald.
Indianapolis Center, did you get a hold of American 77 by chance?
No, sir, but we have an unconfirmed report that the second airplane hit the World Trade Center. And it's
Say again?
You know, we lost American 11 through hijacking. You know, American was a Boston-Los Angeles flight.
It was, all right. I can't hear what you're saying there. You said American 11?
Yes, we were hijacked, which is a Boston-LA flight, and 77 is a Dulles-LA flight, and we have an unconfirmed report a second airplane just flew into the World Trade Center.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Why do you say deliberately fly into the Trade Center?
Because there was no doubt in my mind that both planes were using the Trade Center as a target. They weren't in trouble. They weren't in distress. They weren't falling from the sky. They aimed for it. And they did a very good job. The Trade Center is torn open. There's a hole in the south side of the Trade Center, torn open from the impact of the plane, which fell into the street below.
Would that be the westernmost of the 2 towers?
The southernmost of the 2 towers.
Southernmost of the 2 towers.
Yes. Yes, it's a big gaping hole in it. Flames and smoke have been pouring out since it happened about 5 minutes ago. I'm a little shaken because I saw the plane pass before my eyes. It was just about at my eye level. So.
How close to you?
A block and a half.
You say you saw the first plane fall down.
Yeah.
We're re-racking tape here, by the way, and I'm speaking to you, Mr. Schneider, but I'm showing tape right here of the second plane boring into the northernmost of the 2 towers. You say you saw the first plane fall down. What can you tell me about that plane?
Well, I didn't recognize it as a plane at first. It looked to me like a charred piece of metal, and I had thought that there was an explosion from within the Trade Center, so I thought what I was seeing was a piece of the Trade Center falling because the sheath of the Trade Center is metal. But since I've learned that the first explosion was caused by a plane crashing into the tower, I've assumed that what I saw was a piece of fuselage that was falling, and the plume of flame I saw shoot out would be consistent with jet fuel exploding.
So you really have no idea of how large a plane the first one was?
No, I didn't even know that was a plane. I learned that from the news media. But I definitely saw the second plane. I heard it sound, and I saw it streaming in from the south. I watched it crash into the Trade Center.
You said you're very afraid, and understandably so. They're not evacuating your building?
No. I'm going to leave on my own, but I haven't heard any decisions made to that effect.
Can you see the ground from your vantage point?
Oh, yes.
Talk to me about the scene on the ground, if you would.
Well, it's completely devoid of vehicles and people.
The entire street is totally littered with paper and smoke, and several vehicles are on fire on Liberty Street in the parking lot where either fuel or pieces of the plane fell onto them after crashing into the Trade Center. There's a tremendous number of emergency vehicles here and continuing to arrive. I hear sirens from every side.
All right, Mr. Schneider, you've got a great vantage point. I'm going to ask you to hold on with me for a little while, if you would.
Okay, Mr. Gunn.
I know you're anxious to get out of the building. I'm not going to keep you forever, I promise.
Okay.
But let me ask you to sit tight for a second while I go to Washington, where Jim Stewart is standing by. He's got some official reaction. Jim, good morning. What are you hearing?
Morning, Brian. Well, as by happenstance, I was talking to FBI headquarters at the moment this explosion took place. They saw it occur as we saw it occur, the second explosion, rather, and their reaction was the same as everyone else. Number one, they noticed the clear weather there. Number two, they noticed what appeared to be, in their eyes, a deliberate attempt to crash the aircraft into the World Trade Center. Right now, they are trying to determine whether, in fact, it was deliberate. They have no information they can share at the moment, and I get the sense that they're in the same mode that we are, simply their mouth is their gate trying to figure out what's going on.
Jim, let me interrupt for just 1 second. I'm looking at a report that the FBI is investigating reports of a plane hijacking. Did you have any news of that?
No, we don't.
By airline.
Are you able to confirm anything within your airline to us?
No, unfortunately.
How about, can you tell me if we know for sure it was American 11 that went into the Trade Center?
We think that's who it was.
Okay.
And we're missing another flight also.
What flight are you missing?
77.
And when was the last time you knew for sure something about him?
He was in, wait a minute. Well, there's, I don't know how he got up there, but they think 77 is up there also.
Okay.
He's out of Dulles.
Okay, and
Dulles, L.A., and they both apparently have been hijacked. And 11, we're pretty sure is in there, and 77. We were talking to him, according to Indianapolis Center, about 45 minutes ago, and in Indy Center. And I don't know how he got back to the Trade Center. I have no idea if that happened.
Okay, it may not have. We have another call sign. Of course, we don't know for sure any of these call signs right now, but
video on Fox and other television networks all sense that this may well be a terrorist incident of some kind, and something that will certainly draw the president's involvement. We've got a report from the FBI that a 737 was hijacked very shortly before the second plane flew into the other World Trade Center tower. And as you can aware, the president, who travels with secure communication to his national security staff, is being briefed about this even as we speak. John?
There, certainly at the foot of the building, fairly early in the morning, to be able to go and see it. The two collisions, the two incidents have occurred about 2/3 of the way up. John Miller, we haven't, excuse me, we haven't had a aircraft fly into a building in New York, as far as I know, since just after the Second World War, when the
Empire State Building.
When it flew into the Empire State Building.
That's right. A B-52 flew into the Empire State Building then, and this is really the first time there's been anything like that since.
John, I was listening as you and Chris Isham, the head of our investigative unit, wandered up here to the rim just a short while ago to saying, one of you, I think, this was something they've been waiting to happen. Who are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What we were talking about is there's been a great frustration since the bombing of the World Trade Center, which the suspects later told federal authorities were intended to take the building down, that it didn't have a larger effect. And U.S. intelligence, FBI people for years have heard that they've always wanted to try and finish that job off, to take the buildings out, and that it was another viable target. Interestingly, ironically, whatever you want to call it, the World Trade Center just hired 2 weeks ago the head of the FBI's National Security Division.
Hello, Command Center? Yes, sir. This is John Thomas, Ops Manager. I think we need to let everybody know this right away if they don't already. American 77 was was just west of Charleston, West Virginia, at flight level 350. It's a heavy Boeing 752. And disappeared off our radar scope about 1256Z, a long width lost frequency. We were treating it as the law started to do some procedures to notify search and rescue and whatnot when American Airlines told us they'd had some aircraft or an aircraft hijacked. We now believe that aircraft may have been hijacked, although no one has, we have nothing to verify that. But with the World Trade Center, we could have another loose aircraft out there somewhere.
Security correspondent is with us in Washington. John, what do you know?
Peter, we do hear that there was a hijacking. It is not clear where that hijacking occurred at this point, but it is one of the many things that U.S. officials are scrambling to try to get a handle on at this point.
Anything else, John? What happens at the Pentagon at a moment like this? I know everybody springs into action, but what do?
What happens is there is a particular counterterrorism cell within the Joint Chiefs of Staff that goes into an emergency basis at this point. They're investigating all aspects of air traffic in the area, all intelligence that, as they sift through it, may have given them some indication that something was happening. At this point, though, there were no warnings.
Military Boston Center just had a report that American 11 is still in the air and it's on its way heading towards Washington.
Okay, American 11 is still in the air?
Yes,
on its way towards Washington?
There was evidently another aircraft that hit the tower. That's the latest report we have.
Okay.
I'm going to try to confirm an ID for you, but I would assume he's somewhere over either New Jersey or somewhere further south.
Okay, so American 11 isn't a hijack at all then, right?
No, he is a hijack.
American 11 is a hijack?
Yes.
And he's going into Washington?
This could be a third aircraft.
Much of the country watching television this morning will have seen the second plane crash into the other tower. And we have, as you can see from a distance there, until we get our cameras on the ground, producing material which we can put on the air.
No. Okay, American Airlines is still airborne. 11, the first guy, he's heading towards Washington. Okay, I think we need to scramble Langley right now, and I'm gonna take the fighters from Otis and try to chase this guy down if I can find him.
They put out an urgent call for Scott Air Packs because they're climbing smoke-filled stairwells. They've got to go very high up to get to the target locations, and they're talking about people trapped in the smoke there.
And this, of course, is reminiscent of 1993 when the explosions occurred at the trade towers last time.
Exactly.
John, is it standard operating procedure? You mentioned that all of the other principal government buildings in the city, Gracie Mansion, the mayor's official residence, and some of the other buildings will be evacuated. Is that a fairly standard anticipated operation?
It is an existing plan that is on paper, but Peter, I have to say, it's never been put into effect in New York. This is unprecedented, and I think as this develops, you'll see similar plans go into effect in Washington and potential target buildings, because they really have to take the position that they're under some form of attack here, at least as a precaution, until they sort this out.
As we wait to get a better grasp of what now becomes a rescue operation of the people in the twin trade towers, we're reminded here that the U.S. officials, according to Pentagon sources, have no warnings today of any kind of terrorist attack. And if you listen to the news on a regular basis, you hear the Pentagon warning Americans worldwide of some impending terrorist attack. And here we are in the height of commercial America. With no warning whatsoever, no intelligence whatsoever, as far as we can tell, at least in these first couple of hours.
No, and all of the latest intelligence, at least the basics of which I've been scanning for months, have focused on the high potential for attacks against American targets abroad. Indeed, federal authorities and the intelligence community have reported they've interdicted and interrupted more than a dozen of those attacks by shutting terrorist cells down around the world. They've always been worried since the first attack on the World Trade Center that there would be another bold strike on U.S. soil.
Police from their desks ran downstairs, and now there's a steady stream of folks running away from the building. Some people saying that they're fearing there'll be another explosion, and when they saw the second plane, convinced that this was dangerous, there's just an absolute flood of folks escaping downtown Manhattan right now.
And Rose, do you have anybody with you that could talk about being inside the World Trade Center when this happened?
Right now, honestly, there are scores of people that are literally running by.
Brooklyn dispatch, urgent. People trapped 5 World Trade on the 80th floor. 3 World Trade. That's the 101 floor and the 102 floor. Manhattan receive.
figured out that there's ongoing danger, and there's just a stream of folks running as quickly as they can uptown away from this.
Understandably, what about rescue efforts? I would imagine there's still a number of people inside those buildings.
Well, right now what you see is there's trucks trying to get through, and people have actually jumped from the crowd and are trying to help direct traffic to try to get emergency vehicles there. There is no traffic going in the other direction, but because of the flow of people, it looks like some emergency vehicles are actually having trouble getting to the scene.
And from where you're standing, is there any kind of command center, any place that people are being directed toward?
Right now, what there is there's a crush of emergency vehicles and rescue vehicles, but they don't seem to be quite organized in any direction. There's fire department vehicles on the one side where you see the smoke coming out of the building. On the other hand, you see groups of police officers trying to organize the crowd in a more orderly fashion. I think there seems to be some fear on their part that such a huge crowd of people might injure each other on the way out.
All right, Rose Arce on the ground there near the World Trade Center. We continue our coverage live with the live pictures as we go.
And we're just now getting word again from the Associated Press now saying that the crash of these two aircraft into the towers of the World Trade Center in New York appear to be an act of terrorism. This, they are quoting a U.S. official. They did not say which department of this U.S. official was speaking from, or the authority this official was actually carrying at this particular point, but they're saying that a U.S. official is now saying to the Associated Press, it is official, well, he is saying at least that these two aircraft crashes we've seen into each of the towers of the World Trade Center are the act of terrorism. We're just getting word now that President Bush is going to be coming out, and he's going to have comments momentarily. We understand, we're keeping an eye on the picture from Sarasota. He's going to be returning to Washington almost immediately, we understand. Darren?
And in fact, as you mentioned, President Bush is in Florida today. We're supposed to have an education event just minutes from now. That has been canceled. Our Major Garrett is traveling with the president. Major, maybe you can tell us a little bit more on the president's immediate plans.
Good morning, Darren. President Bush, as you said, will make a statement here at Emma E. Booker Elementary School in Sarasota on the catastrophe at the Twin Towers in New York. Following that statement, the president will board Air Force One and return immediately to Washington.
Were the scenes of a bombing in 1993. The FBI told the Associated Press that it was, quote, foul play and not an accident. A person who answered the phone, that was reported by ABC, a person who answered the phone on the trading floor at interdealer broker Cantor Fitzgerald, located near the top of the World Trade Center, said, "We're blanking dying," when asked what was happening, and hung up. There was screaming and yelling in the background, and a follow-up call was not answered. Nick Fulton, an eyewitness, said just before the first explosion he saw a plane fly over his apartment in the...
Because they didn't want to share it, but because they just don't know.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking United 93.
Somebody call Cleveland?
Under American 1060 with you. We're 370. We're slowing due to the delays possible going eastbound.
That's American 1060.
You got United 93?
United 93.
South of Chardonnay,
yeah.
Descended?
What's that?
I just saying, it looked like he descended
I
there.
don't think so. United 93, verified 350.
United 93, Cleveland.
Go ahead, Frankie.
Do you have United 93 south of Chardonnay?
We hear some funny noises. We're trying to get him. Do you have him?
No.
Thank you.
United 93, Cleveland.
United 1523, did you hear your company, did you hear some interference on the frequency here a couple of minutes ago, screaming?
Yes, I did, 797, and we couldn't tell what it was either.
Okay. United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center ident.
Or the second plane hit the building, you'll watch it enter from the right portion of the screen and then make contact.
By the order of the citywide tour commander, all off-duty firefighters and all off-duty officers are hereby recalled. Repeating, by the orders of the citywide tour commander, all off-duty firefighters and all off-duty officers, you are hereby ordered for recall immediately.
That one occurred shortly after 9 o'clock in the morning. How many people were in the building at the time of the impact? And it's a large plane. We're told it was either a 737. Some reports that the first plane was a 757.
Some kind of Airbus. That was what the United worker told us. That apparently that it was an American Airlines plane that had been hijacked from Boston to Los Angeles, but we're just getting initial reports of that. And again, we must tell you that we're trying to get as much information, but it is trickling in at a very slow pace.
Is the Here's the president now in Florida. I wonder if everybody knows there what's going on. We'll listen to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a difficult moment for America. I unfortunately will be going back to Washington after my remarks. Secretary Rod Pace and Lieutenant Governor will take the podium and discuss education. I do want to thank the folks here at the Booker Elementary School for their hospitality. Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless their families and America. Thank you very much.
President clearly shaken, I think one can say, confirming what we think we all knew, which was that 2 airplanes. God bless the victims and their families. John Miller, what are you picking up on the police radio?
There was a bit of a stir a moment ago because LaGuardia Tower reported urgently that there was another aircraft moving fast in the no-fly zone. Now they've contacted that aircraft and they say it's a military aircraft that's rushed to the scene to enforce the no-fly zone and literally be a presence in the area in case there is another plane headed for the building, so that there'll be some at least armed aircraft up to confront it.
Airlines plane that was hijacked en route from Boston to Los Angeles this morning. And they're saying that there is a strong possibility that that first plane that crashed into one of the towers, which does appear to be commercial, and looking at the video, they're saying appears to be either a 737 or 757, that apparently might have been the hijacked plane. In terms of what the second plane is, they said that does appear, as you've been reporting, John, to be a jet plane, probably a 737, twin-engine jet airplane. And those are the 2 things that are being looked at. They said at this point there was no direct threat that they were aware of any specific threat in terms of targeting the Twin Towers there in New York, but that they did have specific threats against Americans and American facilities around the world, and that's why they issued that worldwide caution. We also know that the FBI Rapid Response Team has been deployed. It is en route. Several FBI agents are already on the scene there at the Twin Towers, but they are definitely looking at this as a terrorist-related act, looking at this point not knowing who is behind it, but looking at the strong possibility that it may be Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the East African embassy bombings several years ago. Back to you, John.
All right, Rita Cosby, thanks very much. I want to bring into the conversation William Daly. Bill, I know that Osama bin Laden likes airplanes, and again, we are not attributing this act to his organization, but he was implicated in a plot to blow up something like 13 airliners in 13 days, or 8 in 8 days, that back in the Philippines back in the 1980s, I believe.
Exactly.
Airplanes have been his terrorist weapon of choice in the past.
They have, because they hold for someone like a bin Laden or other terrorists. The fact that you could take a plane and within just the number of people on the plane commit such a horrendous act at one time makes an impact to the world. Combine that with what we see in front of our eyes today at the World Trade Center, and you certainly conjure up the worst possible scenario that certainly law enforcement could think of what a terrorist might do. Before we get on to, possibly bin Laden, there are certainly other terrorist groups around the world that would like to do things like this. The question would be who might be able to actually carry out such an incident, whether by sheer manpower, training, or some other device. So although he's certainly our poster boy literally for terrorism worldwide, there are other groups out there that certainly have also ill intent against the United States. But what we see before us today is, as I mentioned before, is something that in planning scenarios gets almost into the catastrophic, where it's to prevent something like this from happening. Planes fly by, John, as you may know, and I know, having traveled in and out of the city, come up and down the East River by the hundreds each day, by the thousands each week, and passing by the Trade Center.
At rooftop level.
Look down and you see the antenna, you see the windows. So this is something that even on a bad day, they fly up and down that route. Today was a perfectly clear day in New York.
Or experience?
Our question here is our aircraft that we have has climbed, turned, and is not talking to us. So do we want to scramble? We got a couple local military here.
Okay, that's a decision that has to be made at a different level.
Or is someone talking about it at least?
What's the call sign again?
It's United 93. He's right over Cleveland.
Over Cleveland now?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll call you right back.
You're talking about one of the tallest structures, or two of the tallest structures in the United States. And whether or not the elevators are working, they're probably not. They're not used in case of fire. You've got a massive evacuation problem on your hands.
Would it be highly unusual, Mr. Kallstrom, for these attacks, if that's what they were, to have taken place without some degree of advance warning?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, the FBI and law enforcement, the people that come to work every day and suffer through immense criticism when little things go wrong, these are the days that everyone hopes that they have a very formidable, highly motivated FBI and law enforcement team. And I suspect we do. And these are the things that they try to not have happen. These are the things they try to have the intelligence to avoid happening. International terrorism, if that is what this is, and I don't know what it is very hard to penetrate because it's not very, it doesn't have a hierarchy of authority, and it's cellular, and it's a lot of different people motivated for religious type reasons, hatred reasons, and you can necessarily not know a lot about what's going on in an agency if you're in at some level, because it's so segmented.
Again, I'm getting a report now that it was a United Airlines plane that plowed into the building. We don't know whether that negates the American Airlines reported hijacking, or whether or not that was a second plane. So at this point, we're getting different reports. Go ahead, Mr. Kallstrom.
Yeah, I mean, you telling me that, Brian? If that is
Washington, this is Gopher 06.
Gopher 06, guys.
Yes, sir, that aircraft is down. He's in our 12 o'clock position. Looks like it's just to the northwest of the airfield at this time, sir.
Gopher 86, thank you. Descend and maintain 2,000.
Okay, we're down to 2,000. And this is Gopher 06. It looks like that aircraft crashed into the Pentagon, sir.
Yeah.
In size.
You know, it's beyond belief, but it's not beyond belief. I mean, we've seen this hatred find its way into the embassy bombings in Africa. We've seen this hatred at the USS Cole. We've seen it at the World Trade Center in '93. We've seen it around the world in acts that take place almost every day. And, you know, for this to then transform itself into this size of an incredible tragedy, to me, although I certainly would never expect it, never ever want it to happen, is not that unbelievable.
Yeah, James Kallstrom, let me ask you to sit tight for a second, if you would.
Here's the captain. I would like to order to remain seated. We are on board and we are going to back to the airport, and we have our demand, so please remain quiet.
Okay, it's United 93 calling. United 93, understand, have a bomb on board. Go ahead.
Though, as to the identity of this aircraft, we're talking about crowded airspace in New York with major airports in the area, both in the immediate area of New York and in the surrounding cities. There should be information fairly quickly that will identify these particular aircraft, and indeed we should be able to confirm fairly quickly as to the identity of the jet, and perhaps even some last-second broadcast that may indicate what happened.
Mr. Jenkins, I'm going to interrupt for just one second, because we're getting word that they are evacuating the White House down in Washington right now.
about the situation in New York by National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice. Then the second notification updating him with more details on the situation came from his Chief of Staff, Andrew Card, who's traveling with the president here in Sarasota. The day was supposed to talk about education reform, but the president is scrubbing all of those plans, marshaling all the resources of the federal government, talking with his aides as he can, and preparing to fly back to Washington to, again, as we said, convene a National Security Council meeting. Back to you.
Major, before you get away, and I apologize if I'm asking you to repeat something, I'm having a little trouble hearing you. Do we know exactly where the president was when he was told?
He was just arriving here in Sarasota at Emma E. Booker Elementary School. He had taken an early morning jog this morning in Sarasota, had just arrived here with a presidential motorcade. Then the spectacular, horrific pictures began appearing on television sets here at the elementary school. The president received a telephone call from Condoleezza Rice, National Security Advisor. Then he received an update from his Chief of Staff, Andrew Card, traveling with him. Then it was made clear to the press, traveling with the president, he would make a statement. Shortly before that statement, he was actually sitting down with some children here at the elementary school, reading them a book. Reporters asked him if he knew about the situation of the Twin Towers. He nodded and said he would talk about it momentarily. In fact, he did. We just heard the president's statement declaring this an apparent act of terrorism. Yes, Aaron?
Let me interrupt you here. Senator Ted Kennedy is...
Okay, United 93.
Go ahead.
Is 29 miles out of, 29 minutes out of Washington, D.C. 29 minutes out of Washington, D.C. and tracking towards it. This is the one who reversed cars in Ohio.
Yes.
It's an apparent terrorist act. He offered a prayer for the families, promised to hunt down, in his words, the people responsible for this. He will now travel back to Washington, and aides are telling us now that he will immediately convene a national security meeting to see what steps are taken next.
David, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're looking at live pictures of the Pentagon where there is billowing smoke. Jim Miklashevsky just reported that he heard an explosion, and right now we're looking at an aerial view of the Pentagon. Mick, can you talk to us?
Officially, nobody knows exactly what happened. I think the picture is pretty clear. According to one U.S. Army officer who went running past me at a full trot, he said that it appears that a bomb was detonated.
Center.
Indianapolis Century, reference Delta 89. Do you know any information about that aircraft? I wanted to give you a heads up. This is another hijack aircraft. Boston to Las Vegas. He's on a mode 3 of 1304. We do have contact via...
And what was the number again? Delta
89. It's a 767.
That a Palestinian group has claimed responsibility. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion, this one in the nation's capital. You are looking at a scene of apparent blast aftermath. There is smoke in the air over the Pentagon. We don't know whether this is the result of a bomb or whether it is yet another aircraft that has targeted a symbol of the United States power, but there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. This is coming at 9:43 Eastern Time. And we understand that there's a bomb at a heliport being reported.
Anything that would ordinarily occur here.
I must also tell you, Claire, I think if you think about what's behind the EOB there, you're really down in pretty open area. It doesn't look like a place where a building would be on fire.
No, that's right, although there are a number of buildings just behind the old executive office building on G Street that could potentially be on fire, but nothing you would necessarily think of as a target. Apparently, we're also...
Claire, let me interrupt you for a second. We now have fire confirmed at the Pentagon. John McCarthy at the Pentagon can hear me. John, please get in touch immediately if you can and brief us in there. John McCarthy has actually been evacuated from the Pentagon, and parts of the Pentagon are indeed being evacuated. We want to hold our breath here, it just seems to me, for a second, and not get into a mode that the country is under attack. But we now have 2 attacks on the Twin Trade Tower Center. U.S. buildings, city buildings completely evacuated in New York City. We have this mysterious black smoke at the southwest corner of the White House, which is to say there's something going on behind the old executive office building. We now have a report that fire has been confirmed at the Pentagon. ABC's John McWethy, our Pentagon correspondent, who's been plugging in as quickly to the intelligence and counterintelligence units there this morning, has been temporarily evacuated. But that is as much as we know for sure.
Which is just opposite of the Potomac River, as I just said.
We're looking at the White House, Mick, because we are learning that there have been some evacuations from the White House. I'm assuming that everyone is being evacuated from the Pentagon?
Well, nobody's given us the official word yet, but I think that's probably a safe bet. Thank goodness that was a helicopter that just flew by. I'm just a little nervous right now when you hear aircraft go past. But they have, in fact, evacuated that portion of the building. Usually they have sirens that go off in the building alerting you to the fact that it's time to get out. I haven't heard those yet, but just judging by the pictures, it's clear that that part of the building that is not damaged, at least, has been evacuated. Like I said, in the hallway, it was pandemonium. People were rushing from their offices, rushing outside.
And you're in your office at the Pentagon right now, Mick, reporting to us?
I am in the office, but I'm at the opposite side of where this crash occurred.
All right. Why don't you see if you can gather some more information? Please, again, be careful, Mick. And we're going to go to Matt, who's going to be talking with Jamie Gangel.
All right. Yeah. Katie, thank you very much. I'm joined by Tom Brokaw, and we'll try and recap what's been going on all morning here on the East Coast and in Washington, D.C. in just a few moments. But we do want to go right now to NBC's or today's national correspondent, Jamie Gangel, with some more information. Jamie?
Matt, I just want to tell you that U.S. intelligence sources are confirming the reports that one of the planes was a hijacked flight, an American flight from Boston to Los Angeles. They are also now looking into what's going on at the Pentagon. They don't have any details, but they have now put government buildings around the city of Washington on a heightened state of alert. I think part of that is happening formally, but obviously people are seeing what's going on, and some people are leaving buildings as well simply because of the concern following these latest reports from the Pentagon.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. Again, joined by Tom Brokaw, and Katie's back with us now, too. Let's try and recap. It's 9:47 Eastern. Try and recap what's going on so far this morning, and the news is terrible. Just before 9 o'clock.
At 8:42, actually.
8:42, a plane crashed into the right-hand tower of the World Trade Center, somewhat about 3/4 of the way up. You can see the smoke billowing from that point of the building. And then about 18 or 20 minutes later, a second plane, a large plane, we saw it actually on tape, hit the left-hand tower of the World Trade Center about halfway up. An enormous fireball on several sides of the building. People trying to be evacuated. There's the tape of the second plane hitting right there, even as people were trying to get out of the first building. We have confirmed reports now that there was one plane hijacked, American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston to Los Angeles. And that is apparently one of the planes used.
When the Israeli Foreign Minister Shimon Peres is scheduled to meet with Yasser Arafat, of course, we've had the meeting in South Africa for the past several days in which the Palestinians were accusing the Israelis of racism. The United States vacated that meeting, but there hasn't been one specific incident.
And the Israelis vacated that meeting
as well. And the Israelis vacated it as well, but there has not been one specific incident.
All right, they're pulling Jeff away to go talk about United 93.
Do we want to think about scrambling aircraft?
Oh, God, I don't know.
That's a decision somebody's going to have to make probably in the next 10 minutes.
Everybody just left the room.
Trade towers here in New York, 2 deliberate attacks on those towers today, and we do not know for sure who is responsible.
I'm sure has probably incurred some debris shattering upon it. It's a tremendous logistical, I would say at this point, challenge and nightmare for people who are trying to rescue, put out the fires that are being, I'm sure, fueled by the jet fuel as well as the interior of the building.
We now understand that the Federal Aviation Administration is shutting down all airline takeoffs nationwide. All airliners nationwide there will be no more takeoffs, and I imagine that the planes that are in the air right now are going to be diverted to the closest airport as soon as possible, because in a situation like this, the authorities don't know where the next one might come from, the next rogue aircraft. We have seen the World Trade Center, both towers hit by jetliners. We've seen the Pentagon apparently hit by a jetliner. Authorities want to take every precaution they can, and so all aircraft takeoffs nationwide have been stopped.
You've got to think that that is an indication, one would suspect that this was a hijacking, or at least one of them was a hijacking, because that would indicate that they don't know if there is another plane where it would be coming from. And one way to prevent a repeat, whether it would be a fourth attack, if that's indeed what happened out at the Pentagon.
Well, and we are looking at pictures of the Pentagon area now, Eric, and it's quite clear from the smoke cloud that some enormous explosion hit there.
Would the Pentagon be protected by anti-aircraft missiles such as are at the White House, believed to be at the White House roof? Perhaps this plane, that if it was a plane at the Pentagon, was heading toward the Pentagon, could it have been shot down by our military before it got there? Because that appears to be smoke from jet fuel a little bit away from the Pentagon, not on the actual building itself. As we look at this. But let me again say the plane that I saw was heading here in Manhattan. The first plane that I believe was heading south. It was above Fifth Avenue at a low altitude, which was rare, but it is a usual jet route from planes, especially planes that are vectored down from the north, whether it be from Canada or whether it be from Boston. As Rita Cosby, our colleague, had reported, there are sources telling her that perhaps it was one of the planes was a hijacked plane from Boston.
We have witnesses at the Pentagon who say that a helicopter was near the Pentagon, and then there was an explosion. So again, folks, stay with us. This is all coming into us. Breaking news. You can imagine the catastrophe that we're trying to deal with here, but clearly 3 explosions, 2 at the World Trade Center, one outside or very near the Pentagon. Molly Falconer is at one of the New York area hospitals and has some updated information on the number of injuries. Molly?
Hi, John. I'm coming to you live from downtown Manhattan, where St. Vincent's Hospital basically looks like it is under siege. There are flares out forming a block perimeter around this hospital. I watched one victim come out of an ambulance, go in on a stretcher. They look exceedingly injured, and right now there are hospital beds lined up on the street right outside the hospital, waiting with paramedics right next to them for the waves of injuries. They are obviously expecting to come in here. There's yet another one. I don't know if you can hear the sirens coming in now. New York City police officers have locked this place down with wooden barricades. More coming in on trucks right now. I'm watching lit flares get put in the asphalt here. There are hundreds of people lined up all around this hospital, and lines of people trying to get on payphones and hard lines just to get out to call into the hospital or call their loved ones. Nothing works down here. Our cell phones are down. All we can watch now are just the sirens and the paramedics on standby. The entire hospital staff.
All right, we have lost Molly Falconer's connection. That would not be unusual given the fact that the World Trade Center is a hub of communications in this city.
Other high-profile buildings. Nancy Gabriel, I'm not sure. Do we know if the United Nations has been evacuated yet?
The police department on the New York side has ordered the United Nations evacuated. In fact, they did that very early on, almost immediately after it became apparent what was going on here. Right now, at the World Trade Center,
what is happening. We have now had eyewitness reports from our sources in Washington say they did see a plane crash in the vicinity of the Pentagon. We're looking at it from the Washington end, which would be to the east of the Pentagon, slightly to the northeast of the Pentagon itself. And it looks very much as if there is fire in the courtyard itself in that central quad. But you can see a small plume of smoke on the northern side of the building as well. At least I think it's the north. Yes, it is the northern side of the building as well. And we're not. Associated Press, quoting a senior U.S. official, or quoting a U.S. official, is now saying affirmatively that one of the 2 planes that crashed into the World Trade Center was hijacked after takeoff from Boston. At this time of day, any number of aircraft taking off from Boston to go to ABC's John McCleffy believes that it was an American Airlines flight number 11, bound for Los Angeles. And I realize when saying that, we're going to put the fear of God into a lot of people on the West Coast and people who know who are connected with that flight. But our Pentagon correspondent John McCarthy just reports into us that American Airlines Flight 11, bound for Los Angeles from Boston, was actually hijacked out of Boston. That's a helicopter over the Pentagon. I apologize to the audience. We have two separate monitors here. They show different pictures. Could you tell me which one the audience is seeing at home so I can work with that? And may I not have to ask again? Thanks very much. I don't. And so we now have the first incident at the Trade Center and the second trade incident at the Trade Center as two aircraft. We know that one of them, we know at this moment that one of them, according to officials talking both to the Associated Press and a confirmation from ABC's John McCarthy at the Pentagon, that it was a commercial aircraft that was hijacked out of Boston, which could have been any time before 9 o'clock this morning, because the first attack on the Trade Tower was just before 9 o'clock, and the second one was after that. And John Miller, you're listening.
Actually, it's interesting. There's no way to characterize any part of this as fortunate. But if you look at cities who are prepared to handle an incident like this, and as you've seen New York's emergency response to this, it is probably one of the few places that is prepared with the kind of equipment, response, and rescue efforts that could actually address something like this. And Washington is probably the other. Immediately when this happened, the entire emergency service unit, which comprises hundreds of specially trained cops, was mobilized to the scene. Now a triage center for the injured has been set up just around the corner from the World Trade Center. It's an incredible scene down there with a...
United 93 is 20 miles northwest of Johnstown.
20 miles northwest on primary?
Well, that's a report from another aircraft.
Asking all planes not to take off. Now the FAA has ordered all aircraft currently in the air over the United States to land at the nearest airport. Now you can imagine what may be happening, or what they think might be happening in some part of the country, that there is somebody else on some aircraft coming from somewhere or going somewhere with evil intentions, and so all aircraft currently in the air over the United States have been ordered to land at the nearest airport.
I think what you're going to see...
I just want to check one thing, because one of the very first people the President talked to was the director of the FBI, and Pierre Thomas, who covers the Justice Department and the FBI for us, has been here. They may think they prepare for this kind of thing, Pierre, but man, it must have been a shock.
Stunning shock. The FBI Special Operations Center is now in full alert.
Coldfield come. 3-3 to Manhattan, urgent. Okay. One of the buildings is partially collapsed.
What do we have? We don't...
It looks like a new large plume of smoke.
C3, a major collapse in one of the towers.
Off the building. It may be that something has fallen. We don't know, to be perfectly honest.
Scene behind us of this second tower, now just encased in smoke. What is behind it, I cannot tell you. But just look at that. That is about as frightening a scene as you will ever see. Again.
Command post from Tower 1. To all units, evacuate the building. Command post to all units.
Fires at the Pentagon evacuated, the State Department evacuated.
Tower 2 has had a major explosion and what appears to be a complete collapse surrounding the entire area.
As a credible